it's supposed to attach to?
No, that's what I get right there.
That's good.
And wrap a sack of potatoes. Isn't that silly?
Perfect. Here you go. So I'm going to be your eyes if you see any dogs or something like that coming. So what we're going to do first is find Astro's connection and then working number. Okay, so I have it set to 15 because that's typically where it starts. The one, I think there's a bumpy button on the side there.
Yeah,
right? Yes. So we're going to start pressing that. When you hear me say the word tap, you're going to press the button. Okay? So let's go ahead and tap, tap, tap. No response. Let's go to 20. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, so we got connection because I can see the twitch.
Yeah, I saw
a
that
shift, right? We want a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go to 25. And tap, tap, tap. All right, so you see how there's a bigger contraction, but he's not that concerned about it. I'm gonna go to 30. Tap, tap, tap. 35. Tap, tap, tap. 40. And this is normal, by the way.
No, yeah.
Okay. Tap, 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 tap. 45.
Downstairs.
Good. And tap, tap, tap. Getting close. 50. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, 55. So what I'm looking for here is, you see how he keeps looking that way?
Yeah.
Once we override whatever's that way, you're gonna see him just turn around and most likely look at you. Okay? Tap, tap. Better. See that? So we're gonna start at 55. Okay, that number may change, but you see that difference, right?
Yes.
Everything below that was not phasing him. He's just like, this is more important. Then we hit 55, and then I had just called it where when we get the right number, he's gonna turn to look this way, right? That was the number, okay? So before you start any of your walks, what I would suggest is, you come out, you have him set up, you give him his potty break, and then you step aside, find the number first, and then you start your training. Okay.
So you're saying, like, if we start going for a walk in Grand Park, like, get there first,
Correct.
settle, and then start.
Correct. Because if you try to do it right out the door in the beginning, it's going to be a pain. So I let the dog do whatever, right? Get the business done first, go where I need to go, and now let's get started. It tends to work backwards. So once the training, once it starts to kick in and understanding the heel concept and all that stuff, it starts to work then from the beginning, right? So that'll just make your life easier. So we're at 55. I train dogs on the left. Is that what
That's
you
where we're about, yeah.
Okay, and he's on the left right now. It's been a really long day.
No, I feel you, man. How long have you been out here?
We started at 8.
Okay. Yeah.
We did have a gap, but it wasn't enough sleep. So I'm going to coach you through everything. What I'm going to have you do is when you hold your leash, go to take your handle and put the handle over your thumb. Like that, and then close your hand. Okay, so what that does is that locks your leash. So he cannot pull it from your hand. So if there were to be a lunge, he might take you with him, but he's not going to pull it out. Okay? If you hold it like this happens, or when people wrap it around their wrist, it slides off your hand. And then with your left hand, you'll be giving and taking slack as you work with him. Okay. When people try to teach the heel, they tend to try to restrain and be like this, right? Like heel, and keeping the dog here. That doesn't work. Okay. What we're going to want to do is actually give the slack. And so go and just relax. Let the slack go. Bring your arms down. Go ahead and take up in your right hand, like maybe a foot. Like that, perfect. Like that, perfect, okay? So what we're doing here is we're giving enough slack for him to make mistakes, but not too much that he's gonna step over it because then it gets tangled up in it, okay? The main thing I want you to remember right now is that when Astro releases you, you're gonna wanna make a 180. okay, to your immediate right. So when you're walking, when he passes, you 180 like this.
Gotcha.
Passes, 180. Okay, so you should be staying within the sidewalk.
Yeah, I do see so.
Okay? If you do it correctly.
Yeah.
So when he passes you up and you're doing that 180, you're also going to start tapping when I tell you to.
Okay.
So tap, 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 tap.
Gotcha.
Go tap, 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 boom. You stop. Okay? If you hear me say tap, just press the button. So if I say tap, 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 if I say tap, 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 it goes to your rhythm. Okay? Questions?
Best if this is my left hand for now.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. Okay. Yeah. Once you, the main thing is locking the leash in case he just becomes impulsive. He doesn't pull it up. Okay. And as you work with them and get more confident, comfortable, you'll start to come up with like your own system. But right now, this is perfect. Okay.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So I'm going to have you going to start moving forward this way. Turn, tap, tap. Good. Turn, tap. Turn, tap, tap. Walk slow. And the same thing there, control the beat. Ready, over. Turn, tap, tap, tap. You're at 55, right?
Yeah.
Let's try 60.
Okay.
And if you land like at 62 or something, you're fine.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, if you land on 70, that's a little bit of a jump. Turn, tap, tap, tap. Good. That's what I want to see. So when you bumped it there and you tapped him, did you see how quickly he responded? That speed, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we call urgency. So we're trying to create the urgency as soon as we start the training so that we start to address all the other issues that you're dealing with. Okay? Good. Go to move. Go to speed up a bit.
Yeah, he like trotted to catch up.
Right. Tap forward. Turn, tap, tap, tap. There you go. Good. Slow walk. Turn, tap, tap. Good. Super slow. Keep moving, keep moving. Go ahead and speed up. Yeah, speed up. Good. Slow again. Go into slow turn. Tap. Forward. Good. Super slow. Keep forward. Yep, keep forward. Slower. Slow to stop. Good. Okay. So we see a difference here? Okay. Huh? A big one?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you go ahead and you'll start walking forward. I'm going to have you give yourself a bit of speed and just drastically slow down, but still keep moving, and then go into a turn. Okay? Go ahead. Half forward. Yep, there you go. You got it. Slow here. Stop. Good. Okay. So can you see the difference between remote and prong?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So I remember last week when you were popping them.
I can even see a difference with this, like the dog, because we have the e-collar one.
Right.
We just decided to get the dog trail one.
Sure.
That's what you recommended. Yeah, he's behaving better.
Is it right?
Yeah.
So the collar I recommended for you, they actually just discontinued a few months ago.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
it's hard to come across them.
Gotcha.
So when I spoke to him on the phone, I literally threw a fit. I'm like, that's your best collar. Why are you discontinuing it? Because the only other option is the one that you have, which is the boss. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, it's going to be such a shit show trying to find a similar replacement, you know? So now I'm in my head like trying to figure that out because the supply well is drying up.
Yeah.
Like everybody's selling out of that collar. But this is why I prefer Dr. Is for whatever reason, it's just much more effective.
It
My
clicks with you.
my theory is the sensation of each collar is different. Doctor is duller. The e-collar one is sharper.
Yeah.
So when I had reactive dogs or aggressive dogs, they were seemingly becoming more reactive or aggressive. As soon as I switched to the dog term, it stopped. So that's my theory. So here, when you get your correct collar, your number will most likely be much lower. Okay, because this is meant for like half the power of the one that you're getting. Okay, so you're at 65 or whatever. You might be at 30 or 40-ish.
You're saying with the boss or with the other dog truck?
With the 3500.
Okay.
That's the one. That's why I said get that one, because it gives you more output, so you're able to get more with less, so that if you need more power, it's there. Okay?
So they're just straight up not making it anymore?
Yeah. And I called them, and they're like, you can send an email. I sent an email, and they're like, we'll send it to our manufacturing team. And I was like, this is your, they made a newer one to replace it, and it's not the same. It sucks.
Okay. I'll keep digging and try and find
There's some on Learberg.
Learberg.
Okay, so yeah, shoot me an email,
Okay.
and I'll send you the link. Otherwise, I might have someone you can buy one off of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
So, any questions about this stuff so far? Okay. Because previous training before, right?
A little bit, not to this extent.
Okay. Did you do it yourself or with another trainer?
It was with another trainer.
Okay.
I don't know if she was
That's totally what she was doing.
established as she said she was.
Sure. It's
Yeah, nothing. Did not do much.
Okay. Because he's catching on to the healing exercise fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's any baseline, it's like there was familiarity or context, but not true understanding of the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, so most people's idea of getting restrain the dog is keep them here and then feed them. Like that's the most common thing I see. And the dog doesn't connect that. This is very sweet and simple for him.
Yeah.
He's going, he found a number that's concerning, that's very important, right? Because if you were still at 10 or 15, yeah. Good. If you were still at 10 or 15, you would still be turning back. Okay, so that's why I stress finding a working number first, and why I stress urgency. Find a number that concerns the dog. Most trainers approach the e-collar like, I'm sorry, but your dog didn't need one of these things, right? And it's like, slap the damn collar on the dog and do what you need to do to make them listen, right? So we're not trying to be mean, we're not trying to be forceful or abusive, but he's a dog, they bite each other, which would never, like this would never match a dog, right? So because he has a higher tolerance for discomfort, we're up in that range to find a number that makes him think like, how do I turn this off?
Yeah.
Right? But not enough that makes him really think like, oh shit, this is fun, you know? So for him, when he would pass you up and he's contraction for half, he's like, I don't like this, right? He turns around, he's like, oh, dad's going that way. And he would catch up, and then it disappeared,
Yeah.
right? And then he'd pass again, and then start again. He's like, what the hell's going on? He turns around, now dad's going that way. Oh, catch up, it stops. So you're telling me, if I'm walking next to dad, like when he pull up, yep. There you go. You're telling me if I just walk next to dad, nothing happens. That's what we're trying to communicate, right? So this becomes his reference point for everything. Okay, you start to build off of this exercise. So when you go to Grand Park and there's all that motion going on, if you have the appropriate power, you will cut through all of that. And he starts to look at you, and then the environment doesn't become isn't so stressful anymore. Because he's able to take it in, tap, tap.
Do you want to walk?
Up, yep, like up, tap, then pull up, tap, 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 tap. So when you pull up, keep your touching constant. Tap, tap, no tugging, just up and hold, tap, 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 and relax. Good. And I'll explain why we do that right now. Okay. So you're trying to make yourself more concerning to him than the environment. Okay. So right now, the reason why we're doing this is he started offering the auto sit, okay, on his own. That's fine. And obedience is very black and white. I understand he might be stressed or tired, that he wants to lay down, maybe he's hot. And we tend to excuse that as humans if we see that, right? He doesn't see that part though. He just thinks, I was walking with Dad.
Is there like a YouTube channel? Like what?
Canine Perspective.
Canine Perspective.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, thank you.
If you pop him up, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. I'm famous. You guys are famous. Yes, fine. So, tap. Good, and then switch. So, you want to be very black and white because if he just lays down, and you let it go, I understand why you let it go, right? He's hot, he's tired. But for him, he just thinks, you told me to do this, I was doing it, but then I decided to do this, and it was not a problem. So he made a decision, right? So then it starts becoming more prevalent, and next thing you know, he's peeing on everything, then he's pulling again, then he's lunging and being reactive, right? So it has to be very strict. Okay. If he's on his own time, I could care less what he does, okay? But right now, I want you to just remember, when you're moving, he's supposed to be here, and when you're not moving, his butt is supposed to be on the ground, okay? The exception to this rule is if it's raining, or when it starts snowing. Okay, when it starts snowing, it's uncomfortable, right? So then the dogs will stand, it's perfectly fine. If I have a reactive dog and their behavior isn't improving because we're kind of giving them this leniency, I'll tell the owner, hey, it sucks and your dog's gonna get muddy, but if you're not that strict, they're reactive. So it's either you have a reactive dog who's not muddy, or you have a muddy dog who's not reactive. Okay, so you gotta pick and choose. Exactly, right? So, questions so far?
I got it.
Sounds absolutely great.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you do the same thing as Connor. We're gonna start moving. Again, you wanna remember that if he passes you, you're wanting to do that 180 turn to your hip, right? Okay, and then you would tap the fork when I say tap. Okay. Questions? Yeah. Sure. Whenever you're ready. Go ahead. Good. Turn. Tap. Good. Good. Slow turn. Good. Nothing here to turn with you. Going to pick up your speed a bit. And then walk slow. Good. Slower. Good. Turn. Slow to stop. Tap. 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 Lightly pull up. Tap. There you go. Good. Right there. Tap. Good. And relax. Good. Okay. So, when you're at the right number, it should be that easy. Okay. But actually even easier. Okay. So you see how it took me about 4 to 5 taps there?
Yeah.
So something garnered his attention over there. That at that particular moment, when you wanted to reinforce that sit, what did we had again? 60. 60?
Yeah.
60 wasn't enough in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? So I have a 3-tap rule. If I don't see a change within 3 taps, I bump it. Okay. I usually go in jumps of 3 to 5. Okay. With a guy like him, because he's so like the anxiety and like just everything going on, I'd go in jumps of 5 just to get there quicker.
Gotcha.
Worst thing is that could happen is maybe he yips.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, you're fine. As long as you don't go 50 to 90, which there is application for that, but in the beginning as you're learning, you're perfectly fine. Okay. You might hit some very high numbers. You might be at 105, 110, 115, right?
I've got him once on the box.
You've done it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
nothing I'm not used to. Is it cool if I get some water?
It's perfectly fine. What you're looking for is what's going to garner you the response within that particular moment. Okay? Attaboy, and tap. 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 Attaboy, and relax. Good job. Okay? So, in terms of positioning, Astro's right shoulder should line up with your left leg. Right? So that's how it's supposed to look when you're walking and when you come to a stop.
Okay.
I'm having you do something before you turn and before you stop. Do you know what that is? Before
Slow
you
down?
Yes. Okay. You guys drive?
Yeah.
What do you do before you stop?
Slow down.
What do you do before you turn?
Slow down.
Slow down, right?
He's horrible in the car.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. So this, you might start to see a shift in those areas.
Okay.
Otherwise, tap, up, tap, 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 right there. Good. That's fine. I don't need perfect sit. I just need sits. Okay. So when he's in the car, what does he do?
He's just whiny and like breathing increases, just an anxious wrap.
Sure.
It seems like.
It's
It's like we're afraid he's gonna like pass out because he's breathing like so quickly, so heavy.
sure. So what I would
Yeah,
do,
he just doesn't seem comfortable.
for sure. What I would do is we're gonna give it a week
Yeah.
of you practicing this exercise.
Okay.
We're gonna see if it transitions to the car. If it doesn't transition to the car, then we'll touch upon it, okay, in terms of how we go about de-escalating in that environment, okay? So what we're doing here is indirectly addressing behaviors, okay? So typically, like let's say we have reactivity, lunging and barking, people would think, oh, you just find dogs and you slam them for barking at dogs. I'm like, no, first we teach them what we need them to do, and this exercise settles a lot of dogs down that eventually we don't even see the reactivity because of discipline from this exercise. If we do see the reactivity, then I go, no big deal. We at least have our reference point. Now we need to give consequence for the behavior itself. Okay? Same thing for like stuff in the car, anxiety, I would say, the environment. And we just had a young lady earlier who came from Mount Prospect, which is a suburb in Chicago.
Okay.
And when I first saw her before Corona, the dog was super anxious, very nervous, very just all over the place. That dog was so calm, like at least 89%.
That's awesome.
Better, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for whenever I come into the picture, is that through discipline and just structure and practice, that the dogs just settle, okay? It's not always just coming in and trying to just hit everything power, okay? Just so you know.
Makes sense.
Questions so far about any of this stuff? So I'm going to give them a tap here. Okay, so good. What we're going to start doing is we're going to start tackling things little by little. Okay. So when he's sitting next to you, I really don't care that he like glances around. But what happened is he starts caring about what's behind him and stuff. Like the cool tap, tap, tap. You're at 60. Let's go to 65. Good, and go to relax. Good, and tap. Better. So what we're doing is we're saying, don't worry about that. Right? So if you're at Grand Park, is there a lot of stuff that gets his attention?
Yeah, everything.
Okay. So
Everything except us.
let's say he's sitting, right? He's physically stationary, but his brain is not.
Okay.
Brain is on everything else. So what we're doing right now is we're saying, don't worry about any of that stuff. And it's easiest from a stationary position, right? Because it's very obvious. He's sitting, we're facing this way, but he's like this, right? Conversation's over here, buddy. So you're giving them that tap, yep. That's fine. You're giving them that remote, and you're saying, I disagree with you, you're looking over there, tap. Good. That has nothing to do with it, okay? And what you're gonna start seeing, tap again, good, is either more focus, where he's gonna look at you, and I don't care that he looks at you, because that's not realistic in the long run. I just care that he's this way, because that's where you're facing.
Yeah, just at least focus.
Right? So I don't mind if he goes to a certain degree like this, but I don't want like this, and I don't want like
We
this.
see a lot of that. So
Okay? So it's easiest when you're staying still, because that's when it's really challenging for him. Because mentally he's all over like this, but physically he's sitting still. Does that make sense? Tap, good job. Up, tap. Good. And you might, and this is okay, you might see a little bit of confusion, because he has to decipher what you're wanting through one means of communication, which is muscle contraction, right? So like right now you tapped him and he got up and he got in front of you, and I said pull up, tap to correct him, because he's going, is it where I'm sitting?
yeah.
Like what's causing this to happen, right? When really it's the fact that he keeps looking around too much, okay? As you do this more, and that's okay, because something happened, but then he came back to look this way. You see that? So I'm not saying he can't look at things, period. It has to make sense. Right?
Yeah.
So, like here, you see how he's perking up his ears?
Yeah.
Tap. 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 That's better. So his ears went into alert state. Did you see that? And then 3 taps later, his ears go back. Tap. That was alert state. You see that difference? Okay. Tap. 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 Let's go to 70. Good. And that positioning is a more relaxed state.
Yeah.
Okay, with those senses hips. So these little things are communicating. And then grab with your other hand on your leash, like that, just for a secondary. Yep, and relax. I wasn't sure if they're coming to the dog. Tap. Tap. And go into position yourself a little bit to the right than you were. Like that. Good. Tap. So you see how he's doing this? So that couple, that family there, was concerning him. Oh, they got two guard dogs.
Yeah, they have 2 actually.
That he had to turn his body sideways so he can see him like this. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry too much about it right now, but little things like that you want to take notice of, okay? Because that's where he's at here and emotionally. Ideally, what I want is if he's facing like this and dogs walk behind him, he doesn't care.
Right.
Okay, but if he keeps going like you, that like kind of neurosis will keep happening and it'll keep him stuck where he's at. It's attacking him. Okay, questions so far? All right, so we're gonna do. I'm gonna have you go and let that left hand go. Good, and I'm gonna have you do a bit more of just back and forth motion. Okay. Good turn. Go ahead and speed up. Now slow. Slower. Good. And stop. Yep. Good. You see how he stepped closer to you?
Yeah.
Good. So that's the stuff that I want to see. So he's starting to get the concept of when I feel remote, move in. Okay, that's the basic thing I want him to learn. Go ahead and take 3 steps. Turn, tap, tap forward. Good. Good, slow turn. Good, slow to stop. Tap, tap. Better, good. You see how that took 2 instead of 4? Forward 3 steps. Good. Tap. Tap. Good. Forward 5 steps. Good. 1 big step. Tap. Good. All right. So when you have that level of focus, that's when you're really in the head. Okay. And all it took was you just going the opposite way at the correct power level. Okay. So when you work with him at Grant Park, once you feel like you've locked him in, this is something that I like to do to just see like how much attention are you playing. If you do the 3 steps and you kept going like we did earlier, you would just pivot into that turn, tap, tap, and start going the opposite way. Okay. So it's another way of also challenging them and creating the opportunity of correcting them to say, no, buddy, you don't go past me. You stay on the hip. Okay. Questions so far? Let me have you might be like a light dog, right? So you'll start going quicker and then just drastically just slow down. Okay. If he passes, you can pivot, back, keep going. Okay. Go ahead. sits, we don't do anything.
Okay.
Okay. Because what we're wanting to do is beat the punch.
Right.
As long as it stays on the body, as long as it sits when we stop, we don't do anything. Then give a tap here for the moving. There you go. Then you position. That's fine. Correct it. There you go. Then you correct it right there. Watch. Good. Then forward. Turn. Try speeding up. And slow. Turn. Stop. Yep. Good. Stop again. Is that your first run through or your second one?
That was my
First, okay. So we'll do another run and then we'll swap again. So one thing we can start doing is getting in the habit of moving forward with your left leg first.
Okay.
Okay, so as we get more advanced on things, we're going to start making little bilateral tweaks. One of them is moving forward with your left leg. Okay. So in more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means don't move.
Okay.
So what we're doing here is already conditioning him to pay attention to that left leg, because that's when he gets visual.
Yeah.
Dogs have a wider peripheral range than we do, which is why that left leg makes sense to them to move forward. So if we were teaching them on the right side, it would be vice versa. You'd be moving forward with your right leg. Okay? Questions? Go ahead. And I have you do the same thing where you'll kind of change speeds, speed up, maybe a light jog, drastic slow down. Tap forward. Good. Good dog.
That's all right. The more distraction.
Turn, turn. Good. You got a bike forward coming. Good move, yep, good. Go ahead and stop. Right, you got it, tap. Good job. We're not going to care about that. Let's just step back with them for now. Okay? So, you got a little concerned with the bike and stuff?
Yeah.
Does he have issues with bikes?
Not as much bikes. It's the skateboards at Grant Park that like really get them.
What's his response?
That was astronomically better than at Grand Park.
Yeah.
He would like
It-
lunge them.
Oh, okay. So you got reactivity there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So to help with that, so if I know I have a context that I can challenge the dog with, skate park, I start to target it once you're ready. Okay. So like, let's say you're doing this exercise and he's performing just as well at Grand Park as he is here. Then I go, now let's make it harder. Now let's go to the skate park, because you're talking about the one up by Roosevelt in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
by
live
the
right at
lakes.
that corner.
Yeah, yeah. I used to live over there.
Okay, cool.
So I know what you're talking about. So that skate park that's there, I wouldn't go in the skate park, but I'd be on the outside getting
Yeah, right
used to
next
that.
to it and stuff.
Right? Just going back and forth. If you see a skateboarder approaching, your best bet right now is if they're coming towards you, or even behind, is for now to step aside, turn to face it.
Okay.
He sits, and then you would shorten your leash like I had you do earlier. Okay? That's precautionary. So if he decided to lunge, he's not going to get very far, and you have more physical leverage than if you were to have the whole leash. Okay? So by stepping aside and letting him see it, you're essentially forcing him to confront the issue of skateboarding. Okay? Some trainers will argue like, oh, the dog's gonna get more stressed out because they can't run away from it, this and that. And I'm like, well, if you turn the corner and there's a skateboarder, it's gonna be the same shit.
Yeah.
Right? But here at least you're proactively putting yourself there so that you can expect it. Right? So then I'm stepped aside, I'm watching Astro, and I'm looking for any signs of pre-reactivity, like the ears perking up, the hackles, posturing, the tail maybe starting to wag a bit, and you're knowing like, oh, it's going to happen. And I remote there ideally before the explosion even happens. Tap, 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 tap. There you go. Before the explosion even happens. Okay. Now, you might find, bless you, you might find that when you're doing this, you go to tap him to actually de-escalate him, but then, tap, yeah. But then you see the reactivity actually happen, right? So then the owner thinks, oh crap, excuse me, I made it worse. I made him reactive. And I go, no, he was already thinking about it. You just unlocked it, right? Good. You just unlocked it. So then people tend to lay off the collar. I don't. I keep on with it until he's like, oh crap, that feeling wasn't to blow up. That feeling meant to shut up and calm down, right? Now this week, because you're using this model, you can try to press it. I don't think it's going to be enough power to shut him down. Okay?
For what?
So, like, let's say you see a skateboarder, you're stuck beside, and you tap to, like, if you see the ears move, whatever, but then he blows up and you try to tap him. Even if you max out this collar, I'm going to gamble that it's not going to be enough to shut him down.
When he's past that
Yeah,
threshold.
okay. So, if that's the case, you just lay off the pressure, hold him back, let it ride, and then once it's gone, get his attention, and then try again. And then for now, until you get the appropriate equipment,
Yeah.
I would stay away from that. Okay.
Okay.
So, in that case, you're using avoidance in the meantime until you're with the correct setup. Okay.
Because did you say this is just an older, like this 3500 is an older model of it, or is it
No,
not as
this is a
powerful?
different model.
Okay.
This is half the power. Okay.
Is this the 23?
That's the 1900.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, it's positive when a dog goes into full reactivity. Just as FYI, when you're trying to shut it down with the remote, you'll get what seems like more aggressive behavior, but it's really because you're not at the right number to shut it down. So you're annoying the dog and pissing him off. Okay. So I always tell people just stop, let it happen, because if you try to shut him down or you keep forcing that agitation, you're going to get what we call redirected aggression. Okay. So it's not making him aggressive to you, but he's so annoyed and pissed off that it's got to go somewhere, and you're the closest thing. Okay, so then he's going to go and then try to bite at you. So I always tell people, I will pull up in a way and let the dog have its spiel until it's calmed down, and then I'll reposition and then try again. Okay, tap. Good. Forward, tap, tap, tap. That's fine. Good. Very good. Questions so far? All right, we'll do another quick run and then we'll swap handlers. Do another one and then we'll cap it then, okay? Are you ready? Right turn, tap, tap. Good. Good turn. Tap, good job, tap, tap, good. Good. So right here, you see that?
Kind of. I think I know what you're talking about.
What happened?
Like he started going and then he got tapped and he sat.
Right, so he was gonna pass you.
Yeah.
Right? So instead of going into that tap, I would have gone into a pivot.
Oh, okay,
Right?
gotcha.
So anytime he passes you, always about right turn and pivot.
Okay.
It's very easy to get caught up in the tap to slow them down.
Yeah.
It will be a forever problem because he needs to see you and he needs to attach to you and turn off the pressure in order to really get that concept. Okay. The other thing was that was a pretty abrupt stop, right? And earlier, because you
Slow
started,
down a little more.
yes, and earlier I did have you do abrupt stops, okay? The reason why I did that was to show you the level of focus you had.
Okay.
But realistically speaking, it's not going to be applicable, right? Just like with driving, if you just hit the brakes, the person behind is going to hit you, right?
Gotcha.
So when you're on an actual walk, you will always slow down before your turns and your stops.
Okay.
Because if he's doing great, as long as he's here, you can just keep going straight, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going straight for 20 minutes, how do you think you could test to see if he's paying attention?
About turn. Or
Good guess.
stop.
Good guess.
You want to guess now?
Yes.
There you go.
Right? Because if you just stop or abrupt turn, it's unfair.
Yeah.
He's not going to catch it. So instead, we slow down.
Just change pace.
Correct, right? So if I'm walking for 20 minutes, I'm like, man, Astro's doing great, but is he on autopilot and just getting lucky, or is he really paying attention? I slow down. He slows down too. Good boy, right?
That makes sense.
If he doesn't slow down, he will of course be passing you, in which you would tap, 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 turn, and then continue your way. If you're trying to get from point A to point B, you would correctional turn and then turn again to go back in the direction you were going. Okay? Again?
Yeah. That makes total sense.
Good. Yep. Again. What's your number, Connor? I'm sending you a screenshot that my employee sent me that has the website where that collar is at. So hopefully they still got them in stock. If not, just let me know and then I'll do some digging.
Okay.
Perfect. Good. You want to slow to stop when you're ready. Good. We'll do 3 steps.
And then slow swing.
So 3 slow steps. He should be able to do it with you. Right. Good. 5 steps. And then 1 big step. Good. Okay. Should be that level of focus. Okay. Just want to swap handlers again. Good.
Start walking.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
I got your text, by the way.
They had 2 yesterday.
Okay. I'm gonna hop on right now.
I think it's actually cheaper than what it was before because they're trying to just empty it.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid price.
Is he too perfect?
So what you can do here is speed up a little and tap. Go ahead and dip down, whatever you have right now. Let's go to 58. Yeah. Good. And left leg first. There you go. Good turn.
Yeah, it says 2 left.
Awesome. Good. Good. Now what I'm gonna have you do here is I'm gonna throw a little trick question here for him. Is instead of moving forward, just move straight back and put it to the right. There you go. There he is. Good job. Tap to speed him up. Because he was a little bit slow, so you could have tapped to sped him up right there. little bit more, then we'll cap it there. Yep, forward, good. Good turn. Yeah, good. One last little run. Good. Yep, good. Good turn. Slow to stop when you're ready. Tap. Yeah, boy. Good job. Very good. So, your homework for this week is simply this exercise. Okay?
They're recording your shit, bro.
Good.
They're making like a movie, bro.
So, when you're working with them this week, my structure is 80% work, 20% play. Okay. So if you do an hour-long walk, 45 minutes, you be in that tight heel. The last 15 minutes spread out amongst that time. You can be, yep. Yep. Good. You can be free and like being and moving and all that stuff. Okay. I find it easiest to first, just get to the location first, let him do his business, you poop, get it out of the way, and then start the process. Okay. Dogs in the early stages tend to want to forge back home because of the stress of the collar. If you start to see that happen, in the beginning, my release word is break. Break means you're free. Okay. So like, let's say you have to go home, but you don't have time to work with him to make him heal. You would say break, and then just let him pull you home. Okay. It's fine because you've released him. It's not going to have any effect on your training. Okay. But now we know we need to set time aside for the return. So if I have an hour to work with him and 15 minutes is going to be free time, I'd walk away for 15 minutes, give him his 15-minute break, and then spend 30 minutes coming back. Okay? Because you're going to have to override the stress of wanting to go home to get away from the collar. Okay? So your number may also escalate at that time. It's the same process, and you'll see it. You'll try to walk home, and he's like, right? I'm at 70, tap, 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 turn again, whoa, tap, 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 right? Keep repeating. Doesn't work, 75. And you might find yourself at 105. And eventually you'll see him finally kind of holding back and trying to stay with, and you'll see what looks like kind of frantic, panicky behavior because he really wants to forge, but he knows the power of the collar is not worth it. Okay? And then you just continue like as you would. If you come to a point where it's like, crap, I can't do this anymore, just stop, wait a moment, break, and then just head home. Okay? Dogs are better in smaller chunks. So if you did 3 20-minute walks, that would be ideal for him, or like 4 15-minute ones. If all you have is a solid hour, you can do that as well. Okay? It's just you process a bit slower. Questions so far?
You were just saying at the beginning, like, he might be anxious to get back home.
Correct. Yes. So then, if you don't have the time to address it, I just stop and say break and let him forge home. Okay? It's not going to work against you or anything like that. But then the next time I know I'm going to need to set time aside, walking back home, because that's going to be more difficult because he's wanting to get away from you. Okay? So that's where the real behavioral stuff starts to come into play, because his emotions are like, you can't do this anymore, go home. And with the collar, you're saying, yes, you can, and you still have to be here, even though you're super stressed out. And it might be a shit show for like a few days, but eventually once he overrides it, then it's you walk home, no problem. Okay? And I like to try to tackle stuff as early as possible, because once you get him past that point, then it's just progress. The more he practices that state of calmness and not becoming so anxious or nervous or stressed out that he's got to pull home, is when you start to see the turnaround. Okay. Other questions?
I don't have any right now.
With your leash, the way we're holding it, we're doing that today because we have the space and capacity to do so. Do use your judgment, you grant, in South Loop. If you see something coming, like I said, step aside. Yep, Cap. Step aside, shorten that leash. Right? That works to your leverage. Okay, that gives you more immediate control should something happen, and limits his range of motion. The more space you give, the less stressful the stressor is, because he's not so close to it. So if he's right here to it, expect something. If he's 10 feet from it, expect it to be easier. Okay. If you're seeing really good progress and you want to push things, I'm all for it. Take notes. Jesse is really great with skateboarders until they were 4 feet from him. Okay, that's now his threshold.
Gotcha.
Right? Jesse is really good with dogs walking past. He would look at them, we were able to stop it. He only barked when they barked at him first. Oh, cool. Now he's only responding when the dogs give him back. Makes sense, okay? And then we make little tweaks as we go along, and we start addressing it as we make progress.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Anything else?
Do you think by the end of this he'll be able to ride in an elevator with another dog? Hopefully.
Hopefully. How big is your elevator? Is it a small one?
We could probably be like...
That's not too bad. What you can do for now is when you get in the elevator, if he's on your left side, if the left side of the, or right side of the elevator is open, take that spot.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's
then
what I've been doing, putting him against the wall.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then shorten the leash.
Yeah.
Okay? Is he being reactive when he...
People they know us now, just not to get in.
Sure.
So...
Yeah, but he gets very anxious and antsy and wants to
Yeah.
He has a lot of energy that builds up when he sees another dog at home.
Gotcha. So what you're going to do, the sit that we're doing here is to help him relax. Okay? So I don't want you to think of it so much as an obedient sit in that kind of context as it is to chill out.
Calm down.
Right? So people tend to see it as the obedience of sit. But I go, no, if you walk into someone's house and they say relax, you probably have a seat.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of that thought process. So if I get on the elevator and he's kind of antsy, I would just lightly pull up and give a tap to see if it just de-escalates him.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of pieces here, but this is the main one in terms of getting him to settle down.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I like looking at him already. He already looks a bit more chill than the first time I saw you guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he does.
I could tell that.
Yeah. Okay? That's the beauty of e-collar and knowing how to apply it correctly. Okay? Anything else?
1 out of 12 done.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy so far.
Excellent. So, if anything pops up, you just let us know. You do get Zoom sessions, right? You get 2 Zoom sessions. You can use those whenever you want.
Okay, cool.
Typically, I tell people use them for like the stuff that we can't, that's easy, like just questions, things maybe in the house that you're struggling with, like behavior, stuff like that. So this way you get the most out of them, and this way when we're meeting in person, we get the most out of this stuff.
No, I agree.
Okay. On Saturday mornings, we do have a Lake View Pack Walk, which is not too far from here. We meet at the statue monument on my Instagram. Dogs come, and there's other reactive dogs there as well, and it's a kind of judgment-free zone.
Shut the fuck up! I'm walking right now.
And
Damn.
And you can expose them to other people, other dogs as well.
Yeah,
there's
that'd
bikers,
be
skateboarders on the trail. We usually go from 8 to 9.
Okay.
So if you guys are on Instagram, you can follow my company, Canine Perspective. And then I try to post like Lakeview Pack Walk set for Saturday.
Okay.
And then the morning of, by 7:30, I make a post like, hey, weather's bad, or I'm not feeling well. It's canceled for today.
Okay.
And I'll keep running them as long as weather's permitting.
Yeah, that sounds
and
cool.
people are coming out. So, okay.
Absolutely.
And it's free. You're more than welcome to come any point you want. Ready, guys?
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Glad you're able to get that collar.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes through.
Yeah.
I know.
Lyribook's pretty reliable.
Okay, cool.
And they were keeping inventory. I think that when we sent you, it was just kind of like we have it in stock, but there was no inventory count. So
That's true.
otherwise,
The 2 left is a little good, I guess. Hopefully.
yeah. So you just let me know, and then we'll see what we can do.
I appreciate it.
Awesome, guys.
Thank
otherwise,
you for letting us borrow that again,
yeah,
too.
not a problem. Happy to help.